Hello, thank you. God bless you. And we're going to get started really quickly today. I'm going to cover a little bit of my before Christ testimony to show you how, when we're immersed in destruction and evil, what the devil, what people mean for evil, the Lord means for good. And this was before I was coming to Christ. What really He used to show me what was really happening in the world. And I had basically had a construction company in Texas. Someone suggested I go to Puerto Rico, and so as I was getting set up there, some weird things happened, and we're gonna get into a couple of those today. So basically, the company that I was starting in Puerto Rico was a manufacturing company. We're going to make construction materials out of hemp and recycled waste. And I'd gotten a contract with the government and was about to go finish raising funds, and just some really weird things happened. During that time, I had been invited to a United Nations Climate Summit, South Korea, which I went to. There I learned that Yale professors write for Guardian Media for anything eco-related. They're all Yale professors. And if you know anything about Yale, you got Skull and Bones and some other kind of NWO groups, fraternities that are there. And so anyway, whenever I saw this article in Guardian Media about Extinction Rebellion, a group of people who were dressing like devils to protest climate change, then I spotted a hidden message in the article. It was really obvious. And the message was M4 climate change. So I put that into Google and searched, and immediately came up with, it was a climate war simulator that they were pointing to. Now, M4 was the section of the game: evaluate hazards, vulnerabilities, exposure, risk, resilience, and preparedness. So characterizing hazards, vulnerabilities, exposure, and risk. Explore case studies in water insecurity and disasters. Identify the consequences of climate hazards, and translate to stakeholders. Stakeholder metrics. Now, a lot of what we're dealing today deals with this, with train derailments and food processing plants. So anyway, at the time I was really disturbed. I ended up sending this to people in the CIA, 2 people who I was connected with, and other people. And I got 2 responses. One was, "That's interesting," and the other was, "Stephen, it's necessary." So anyway, long story short, I ended up later getting interviewed by the FBI. They won't interview you if you just find stuff like this. But if you get somebody in the CIA to reply to it, that might change things a little bit. But they were not serious about investigating it, or nor did they care. And really, I didn't know who was involved. I knew it was Northeastern University. But as it turned out, it was a war game with the Center for a New American Security, which is a Washington, D.C. based think tank. And wow, if you think globalists, like co-founders Michelle Flournoy, a board member of military contractor Booz Allen Hamilton, and Kurt Campbell, who's a coordinator for the Indo-Pacific Affairs in the Biden administration. I think that was a former Biden administration. So it was funded by Northrop Grumman, dozens of military contractors, Chevron, Amazon, Google, other large corporations. CNA specializes in national security issues such as terrorism, irregular warfare. That sounds a lot like, what was that exercise? Jade Helm. And Jade Helm had the wooden shoe, remember, in the center of its operational logo. The wooden shoe, you look at the Dutch wooden shoe, it was basically pre-World War II. the workers would throw the wooden shoes in the machine to sabotage the machine as a form of protest. And that seems a lot like what all this is, what all of it was. And so I'll leave links to all this stuff where you can go take a look at it. As these things started happening to me, it really opened my eyes. And then as my project progressed, basically, right around the time that I was getting the contract back from the government, the central government of Puerto Rico, my contract included a facility on the port of Mayagüez, Puerto Rico town, and it's like third largest city. And so after it was getting more public that that the state government was going to give it to me, the city had a former contract on that same facility. So anyway, word got around, and this private economic development corporation I had heard of wanted to meet with me. They were based in Mayagüez. It was Mayagüez Economic Development Inc. So I met with them, and it was Eugenio García Jr. and I forget all their names, but anyway, you can look them up. A lot of them have been either pled state's evidence or whatever, cut a deal with the feds, worked with the feds the whole time, really. And some of them, two of them were just convicted of public corruption, kind of fraud-related charges. So basically they, which I didn't know at the time, they had stole $9 million from the city, and the city had transferred the deed for all of its buildings over to this private economic development company. And these guys were basically trying to take all of the hurricane-related projects, damage contracts, and award them outside of bid because the deeds had been transferred over to this private company, semi-private company. Anyway, none of that ever reached the light of day, even though it was in a statement I made to the FBI. And the news, they haven't really responded to my informing them. It's kind of funny when the things that I'm saying, like, hey, this guy is working for the feds, and hey, there's this blackmail operation happening, and I say it, over a year, 2 years before these things come to light publicly. You'd think they would start writing stories about it, but it shows their complicity in it all. I'm going to read from an article that was written about, so basically out of the $9 million that was stolen from the city, they invested a good chunk of it into these films. They all had a Christian theme, or that's what they were being pitched as. And they weren't Christians, you'll see. But in these films, they also had gotten investment from, was it the, what is that group? Ring the bell. Christmas time. Salvation Army. But I'm going to read real quick a couple of excerpts from this article by David Robb. It was April 19th. If you ever have some downtime, look at the Wikipedia page for April 19. Look in the events section, and you'll see a lot of Christian-related stuff on that day, and the Oklahoma City bombing and some other things. Really weird. Okay, so this is from the article. First up is The Eye of God, a film she said is currently in pre-production. That film is done. It's been published. I'm not going to read all of this. Okay. Oh, this is kind of interesting. So he's quoted in this, Eugenio Garcia Jr. is quoted in this article. But at the end of the article, she says, today, 7 months later, we launch into the world. Thanks to all of our employees and people who in some way or another helped us and worked under indescribable conditions to get to this day. Thank you. Tenebres ad lucem is our new corporate motto, from darkness to light. And their first movie, it was actually their second movie, but it was called The Eye of God. So turn around the dollar bill, look at the Eye of Horus on the back of the dollar bill, and that's what they were referring to. Will Smith and his brother have a distribution company, and they're set to distribute all of these films, even still to this day. Very interesting. All right. The Salvation Army, for these films, they invested money in them, but they also threw the wrap party for each one of these films, and I'll include links for this too, at Masonic Temple in New York City, which was kind of interesting. Sorry, Cooper is going nuts today. Okay, so I've got another article that shows where they receive money from the same department, the basically Economic Development Corporation for the state. They received money for that film, The Eye of God, El Ojo de Dios. Okay, so let's see here. This is really interesting. So the date of incorporation for the limited liability company for the film itself was March 18th, 2016. That's 3/18/2016. And, 6 times 3 is 18. 666. Go figure. Now in Gematria, if you took 2016, you drop the 0. 216. 6 times 6 times 6 equals 216. Let's see. Of course, the Eye of Perdition is a Masonic symbol, the Eye of Horus. It's actually also a reference to gay pedophilia. If you didn't know, you can look up Horus in Wikipedia, and well, you can read for yourself. So Will Smith and his brother are set to distribute the Eye of God film. So Smith hit the rock, right? And then, we have this Eye of God connection to the dollar bill, Federal Reserve. Well, the Federal Reserve owns El Yunque National Park in Puerto Rico, and there's a whole lot of gold under there. But El Yunque itself means the anvil. So that's kind of like a little Ishtar egg they left there. Seems like, anyway. So yeah, a lot of my knowledge on the next video that I'm going to do came from a number of things that I learned during these criminal trials and federal civil trials that I've been paying attention to. And then just my relation to the industry that I was in led me to, how many people have been involved in building this beast system, how wide it is. 2018, 2019 was the time a lot of people in the kind of corporate world and government world were kind of, it's like they were exposed to it, and there was a dividing of people who, were going to keep their mouth shut, people who were on board, and then people who weren't. And I was clearly in the crowd that didn't want to keep their mouth shut. And anyway, through all of it all, I took everything public, just like I'm doing here today, to bring people in. But God bless you. I'll see you in the next video. It'll be fun. Bye.